I'm here with Jacob Tanswell, who broke the story of Ralph Hasenhüttl being sacked from Southampton via The Athletic. I wanted to ask you, Jacob, was this a plan long in the making, or is this more of a snap decision post Newcastle result?
No, it's been a case of when, not if, really. It's been happening, going on for the last 2, 3, 4 months, even, dating back to the summer. We knew that his time was coming to an end after the Everton game back in October. And the plan from then on in was just to muddle on until the World Cup. But the man of the defeat yesterday, 4-1 loss to Newcastle, a team they should be picking up points against, given they've got Liverpool next week. It's kind of accelerated the change, and now they're left with no other choice but to part ways with him. And they've been in talks for a number of weeks, months even, with it for a new manager. So I think the change is going to be a swift one, and a new manager should be soon.
Do you think there was any fan pressure involved, or was it the board were looking at the style of play, or was it purely results? What was the main motivating factor to him getting sacked?
I think the results are damning. I think supporters have been good. They've given a lot of patience, a lot of backing. But when things start to happen in the dressing room, when there's unrest in the dressing room amongst coaches, amongst academy coaches, there was just a general feeling around the club that something needed to change. And when someone needs to change, there's often the man stood in the field the longest that has to go, and that was Hasenhüttl. So it's a number of factors, but I wouldn't say it's supporters. I think they've been on this side for the most part.
In pre-season, Ralph was actually playing a five at the back, and then post the Spurs game, it got changed to a four, and it's been chopping and changing a lot. Do you think this was almost a last attempt? Did Ralph sort of know that he was on the chopping block, and that's why there were these formation changes throughout pre-season and the start of the season?
Yeah, for sure. He must have known for a long, long time. And I think one of the things that I found so jarring is that Southampton are trying to build a long-term project, but the manager is fighting week to week. And you saw that with his formation changes, like you rightly say. He changed formation 4 times in the first 8 games. He tried to go for that back three. He got scolded by it pretty quickly. 2 games in, went back to his usual formation, but then he just kept sticking and twisting. And it's not the Ralph Hasenhüttl everyone knew, because he used to be, devoted to one system, and the fact he's changed so often and so frequently shows that he's doubting himself. So I think that's been a key contributing factor.
Do you think there's any correlation between the recruitment side of the club not working well with him? Because people laud some of the recent business with Romeo Lavia from
Mm.
Manchester City, who's been fantastic. But players like Adam Armstrong, that sort of getting behind striker, it's not really worked. It's not really clicked with his sort of style. Do you think there's been a not much cohesion in within the last calendar year from recruitment side and Hassan himself?
I think that's a really good question. Adam Armstrong wasn't Hasenhüttl's choice, so that was a bit of friction there. But in terms of the players they brought in, I thought they were really proactive. Brought 10 players in: Romeo Lavia, Bella Kotchap. They looked like really good players. But the failure, of course, was a striker, and Ralph Hasenhüttl desperately wanted a striker. He even said that himself. And the fact they didn't get one is showing now, because you see the XG yesterday. You saw the amount of chances Southampton wasted in the last 2 games. On another day, they could be coming out with 4 points out of those 2 games, and Hasenhüttl will still be in a job. So I think there was a bit of disagreement between that. But the whole process now has become quite convoluted. There's several figures in the hierarchy that are involved in the decision making, rather than just 2 people. Ralph Hasenhüttl and Martin Semmens, the chief executive. Everything's just got bigger, and that's basically caused Hasenhüttl to muddle on for the last 3, 4 months. Because had it been a more streamlined process, he probably would have been sacked in the summer, and it would have even got to this stage anyway.
In terms of yourself breaking the story, how did that actually come about? And in terms of the way you managed to break the story first ahead of
Yeah.
everyone else?
We've known about this for a long time in terms of the World Cup. We had whispers before the game that he'd be leaving regardless of the result. So what we try to do at the Athletic is we triple source everything. So once someone hears something, we try to get that firmed up by another contact, another source, or another journalist from the Athletic who might know something better than or more than we do. And then it's just about the right time. We wanted to do it at 5. I think we broke it at 5 o'clock. We wanted to do it after Ralph's presser, so he didn't have to face all those questions out of respect. But it's just about being respectful and doing it at the right time. But I would have been pretty annoyed if someone broke it before us, because I like to think we've been on top of it for the last 3 or 4 months. So yeah, we're glad we got it out there yesterday, and it's up to people if they want to believe it or not.
Looking into the future, it's currently Ruben Selles who will be the interim manager. But you said earlier that they might have managers lined up. Have you got any sort of news on the short list in terms of who they might look at, or is there carte blanche for Selles to maybe go on a good run and keep his role?
No, I don't think Sellers will take the job now. Anyway, he'll still be part of the plans. In terms of the managers they liked Thomas Frank, Roberto De Zerbi before he went to Brighton, Bruno Lage before he went to Wolves. So they've been looking for a long, long time. Uh, but the man they want now is Nathan Jones from Luton Town. They've been given permission to speak to him, and I believe it should be wrapped up fairly quickly. So it's going to be a swift transition.
Is that a style sort of thing with Nathan Jones? I'm not familiar with Luton's style of play myself. Is it a
Yeah,
culture fit sort of acquisition?
I think if you look at the metrics, it's very similar to Hasenhüttl in a way. Low possession, high pressing. So it's going to fit this profile of squad. He seems more personable with players. He's deeply religious, and he speaks Spanish, which means when you go to Ruben Selles, who's Spanish, they can converse very, very well. So I think it ticks boxes there when you think about it, but it's not the most inspiring appointment, and I can understand a fan's frustration.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Jacob, and congratulations on breaking the story.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.